We got the 3-question Thursday rolling. We got scores to check from college hoops. Lots of stuff to get into, including a little Cleveland Browns chat and some NFL free agency. What do you say we bring in our good buddy Chris Easterling from the Akron Beacon-Journal, kind enough to join us here, smack dab in the middle of NFL free agency. Chris, how are you this afternoon?
I'm doing fantastic, Sammy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You keeping up with everything, man? It's almost like you got to get behind a big wall and duck, because once it starts, man, it's crazy NFL free agency.
Yeah, it still is down about this point in the week, it seems like. But that first couple of hours, 3-4 hours there on Monday, actually, which is technically before you actually get to the official league year starting.
Right.
It was sort of crazy and sort of deals flying left and right. But, I think the biggest takeaway I had is that, Andrew Berry said that they were going to be targeted more so than just spraying money all over the place in free agency. And they did that. And I think it shows in sort of the players they have brought in and the players they have re-signed.
Chris, they were pretty active. They've made some trades. The thing that I like the most is, man, lineman. If you could give us a little quick synopsis on the fellas that Andrew Berry and the Browns have brought in via free agency to bolster that offensive line that really needed some switching because of guys leaving and what have you. But I'm glad they went that direction. Get us caught up there, if you would.
Well, I mean, it starts obviously with Zion Johnson, the big guard out of played for former first-round draft pick of the Chargers. Size, durability, a little versatility in his game. They have a type. They clearly have a type. They like their guards big and athletic and a little versatile, and I think that's what all of these guys are. I think you could tentatively pencil Zion in at left guard. Obviously, there's some lingering questions about Joel that, I mean, we can get to, but
yes.
I think we can all read the tea leaves that even that 2026 will not have Joel Bitonio on the Cleveland Browns roster.
Yeah.
But I think you can pencil Zion in at left guard. Elgin Jenkins, I almost called him Elgin Baylor. God, I'm not that old.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. I love how you worked them in there during the. Oh, that's great.
Anyways, Jenkins, he played center last year at Green Bay before he got hurt. But part of the reason why Green Bay was willing to part with him was, one, he had a massive cap hit, and two, Sean Ryan had sort of emerged at center after he had replaced Jenkins. Is a 2-time Pro Bowl guard who can play tackle also. Now, guard is probably his best position, and so if I was guessing where he's going to play, my guess is he's right guard right now. But because look, they re-signed Tevin Jenkins, who was a solid veteran piece for them last year, came in, replaced Wyatt Teller when Wyatt was hurt down the stretch, which I think Tevin, then he can be your swing guard, your backup, can play some tackle again, playing some jumbo packages. And then, Titus Howard, the trade acquisition from the Texans, I think that's your right tackle. And, there's talent there. There's a little versatility. He too, he can play guard. So I think the biggest thing is you look at all these guys. They're big, they're athletic, they're, by and large durable, and they're versatile. And I think that's what they wanted when they were going in order to be able to maneuver, continue to make moves without feeling like, well, we're pigeonholed here. We have this guy, this position. But, I think it still leaves it wide open that left tackle will come in the draft. And to be honest, unless you're acquiring a Trent Williams in his prime like San Francisco did, I think the best I think the best move is to draft your left tackle, and just that's your guy for 10+ years. We saw it here with Joe
Yep.
Thomas. You saw it, I mean, the number of left tackle Hall of Fame left tackles who were by and large drafted and developed in the same organization is pretty lengthy. So I think that's where they go next in terms of that offensive line.
So the moves that they have made via the trade route or the free agency route, the draft will be here before we know it. They're sitting there at number 6 to get that later pick in the first round as well. But with what they've done so far, Chris, do you think that they will still attack the interior line maybe on both sides of the ball, or will they kind of veer off and maybe check out a couple of other positions that maybe they want to add some depth? Or is there a position or two you think that if they can get somebody really good in round 1, 2, or 3, maybe just plug them in and let them go no matter what position it is?
Well, I think left tackle, I don't think anything's dissuading them from taking an interior lineman, specifically a center, if they can find one. They have Luke Whippler. They seem to like Luke Whippler, what they saw out of him out of some extended play at the end of last year when Ethan Postage went down. The problem is, Luke's coming off a leg injury that from that Cincinnati game in the finale that he's trying to recover from. So, there's some question there. And so I think in the third round, if a guy like not Jalen Slaughter, God Lord, I'm mixing everybody up. Slaughter is the kid's name from Florida. Center.
Okay.
Jagger Burton from Kentucky. There's a kid named Law from Auburn, who's a center. One of those guys you can plug in, that you can draft and then develop a center between two veterans or experienced guys. But I still think it's tackle, wide receiver, quarterback, slot corner. I think they definitely need a slot corner, because while they got good Tyson and Denzel on the perimeter are outstanding, they don't have guys who really excel in the slot. I think there's still a lot of ways and directions they can go with in terms of positions that what they've done so far isn't taking away from what they could do in the draft.
Chris Easterling is our guest, beat writer for the Browns for the Akron Beacon-Journal, joining us here on the Sam Bourquin Show today, 1310 WDPN and all of our social media platforms. Make sure you give Chris a follow on all of his social media platforms as well. All right, so you kind of reiterated a little bit about Joel Bitonio. It sounds like he will not be back with the Browns next year, and he was he was one of the anchors we got here for quite a while. But what's up next for Joel Bitonio, Chris?
Well, I mean, I think retirement. I think if I had to, set odds, I think retirement would be the next step for Joel. But look, I mean, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. I don't know what the word is. If he wanted to look and he wanted to sit back and look and assess an option, and that sometime in late spring, a contender comes along and is like, hey, you got a season in you? You want to go chase a ring?
Okay.
I wouldn't hold it against him. He's given the Cleveland Browns 12 great years. If you're coming back for a 13th year, you all the way. I mean, you see Joel at the end of the season. I see him in the locker room, on a daily basis. He's beat up by the end of this. I mean, he's legitimately. It's taken an effort to get him to Sunday. He's acknowledged it takes an effort to get him to Sunday. If you're going to go through that, are you going through that with a team that's rebuilding? Whether they want to say it or not, the Browns are rebuilding, and the Browns are 27 before you can start. I really think you can start talking playoffs, unless they just, they go on some run with these draft picks and everything. And, and Shedeur turns into one of the best quarterbacks in the league and all that. you are still a couple years away. So if you're Joel, and I wouldn't blame him I wouldn't hold it against him for saying, let's say the Patriots call.
Oh, you got to go.
I mean, Vrabel was the de facto offensive line coach 2 years ago in Cleveland. By the end of the season, Vrabel was running the offensive line drills. So he knows Vrabel. Elliott Wolf's in that organization, and Alonzo Highsmith, guys who have been in Cleveland with Dorsey, John Dorsey are up there. So there's a lot of if you told me he went and signed with the Patriots, I would be stunned. But also, I still think retirement's the ultimate way to go.
Yeah, he had a hell of a career here. He really did. Chris Easterling is our guest from the Akron Beacon Journal. Outside of Berea, Chris, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. It's been a couple days. The Max Crosby fiasco with the Raiders and the Ravens. Was there some nonsense going on there? Did they realize that, hey, maybe coughing up 2 once for this guy, maybe we really shouldn't do it. We'll go get somebody else. And, of course, they end up getting Trey Hendrickson about 36 hours later. What do you make of that whole situation? Is that a bad look for the NFL? The teams are not that big a deal.
Can it be a little of both?
Okay.
I mean, is that sounds like a cop-out, but at the same time, look, the Ravens went into it knowing that Max's knee was what it was. And anytime you have a situation like that where you're dealing with the knee surgery, the future is always, you can't, he could play another 10 years and no problems, or, maybe not 10 years, but, he can give you another 6 or 7 with no problems. Or, this could just be a repetitive thing for him where, he's missing games. So, and from that regard, you do it buyer beware when you made the deal initially, but at the same time, a deal's not a deal until a deal's a deal. And follow that logic. You're better than me. They knew the physical. The Ravens saw something, and probably there's a little buyer's remorse. It's thinking, we're losing all these guys. They didn't probably think they were going to lose everybody they lost to free agency. So maybe there was a little, we need that first. We need the first round picks to restock the roster, and we can get for basically the same price relatively healthy, even though he is relatively the same age, Trey Hendrickson. So I understand it. It's not the best look for the Ravens, but also we've seen worse. So
yeah, I mean, if you go back, yeah, it's just that it was such a big name, and it was the Ravens and the Raiders and the ooh and ah the first time the deal was announced, and then it kind of petered out and went completely the other way. And
that's part of this whole thing that, people just, it's another lesson that a deal, like I said, a deal isn't a deal until it's a deal.
That's right. The ink hasn't dried yet. It's not a deal.
There's nothing signed. They can't sign. It can't be agreed upon. It was like when the Browns made the Titus Howard deal, there was always a concern it could have fallen through. No, it didn't, but they until they announce it, it's it's not over till it's over, as I remember somebody famously saying once.
That's right. Who said that? I just had a humongous blank. Was that Yogi?
It was Yogi.
Yogi Bear, yeah. It's not over till it's over.
Why don't we just keep going back? I'm going to keep mentioning guys from 40, 50, 60 years ago. Hey, can I tell you this? Let me tell you my Lou Gehrig story.
Settle up around the fire and let's talk about the good old days, Chris. Chris Easterling is our guest for the Akron Beacon Journal. Hey, one more quick one I want to ask you about the NFL and their product and the media rights deal. I saw yesterday where they are strongly considering now having a Thanksgiving Eve game now. and they want to possibly put that on Netflix. Chris, are we getting to the point where it's the saturation level just can't hold any more water, or does the NFL in their printing press see no end to what they can do? Where are we at with this?
I was listening to a podcast. I forget which one it was, but
Lou Gehrig.
we were talking about the deal the NFL made with ESPN when ESPN bought NFL Network. NFL has like a 10% stake in ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was posited. I believe Stephen Gottfried was the person who was positing this opinion, that this theory that it's ESPN betting against, buffering against the potential that, look, not just for them, but for all of these TV things. You think college, that the bubble may be getting close to bursting. That, the saturation point has been reached. That look, there's nothing else left in that. You've tapped that well.
Yeah.
And this thing in particular, so it makes sense, because streaming and cord cutting and all that makes sense. And this, look, it's a huge deal. I think we all remember Wednesday when we were younger. Again, as I offer another Werther's original. The Wednesday night before Thanksgiving is the biggest bar night, and so just
the stories I could tell about the night before Thanksgiving. Oh my God!
Right? I mean, it's like
magical.
So it's this huge night where people are out and they're at bars, and what's going to be on the TV? You don't get college football necessarily. I always thought it was a good NBA night. It seemed like the NBA knew that, hey, let's just even if it's early and it's an early season game, let's put Lakers Cavs with LeBron back in Cleveland, or I think they played on a night when let's go about a sneaky good late November game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The NBA seemed to know college basketball. I mean, Feast Week with the Maui Invitational and the Battle for Atlantis and all those things.
Right. Tons of stuff was on there.
I mean, there's tons of stuff. And so the NFL is looking at it like, what we got going on here? It's like, what are we missing out on? And here's my concern, though, more than anything, is let's look at that weekend alone. The number of standalone games they would have with it. Thanksgiving night, 3 on Thanksgiving, that's 4. Black Friday, that's 5.
Friday, that's 5.
You have Sunday Night Football, that's 6. And then Monday Night Football makes 7. So that's 14. Let's do some quick public school math. That's 14 teams. I mean, that's 7 games, 14 teams. Yeah. By the way, there will be buys that week, so there'll be teams on buys that week. What are you doing to Sunday?
They're killing the 1 o'clock window on Sundays is what they're doing.
Well, that's just it, because CBS and Fox are both going to be like, hi, CBS, Fox over here. We pay billions of dollars.
Right.
Can we get a game here so we're not stuck putting Browns Cardinals on?
Right.
At 4:25?
Right.
I mean, maybe Browns Cardinals is great next year whenever they play that. But
sure, I'm sure it'll be But yeah, I've been following I think we all connect the dots, and I even saw a lot of comments on a lot of social media from some pretty smart people that's saying the NFL, man, is just like the 1 o'clock window, and even some of the 4:25 games now, because of all this standalone stuff. And then, we're playing now in every possible country we can play in on Sundays at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, they could be playing 2 next year overseas. They could be playing 2 games over. I've seen some people predicting that they're going to be 2 games overseas next year
for the Browns.
They'll be the Jacksonville, because they got Jacksonville at Jacksonville. They play Wembley.
Yep.
And then the next week is when theoretically it's been reported by not some minor French outlet. This is like the French equivalent, France's equivalent to FS1 or ESPN, reporting that October 25th they're supposed to play in Paris against the Saints. I mean, look, I'm brushing up on my French, and I'm learning how to order. I mean, I've been, I was in London last year, so it would be nice to go and visit some things I didn't get to see there. But
Right.
I mean, before long, you're right. This is what it's going to be. This is Roger Goodell's NFL. It's manifest destiny, and look, I mean, manifest destiny doesn't. I mean, we've seen it through history that manifest destiny doesn't always. Well, it doesn't typically end well.
No.
It's so. I mean, I'm just curious as to what if we ever do pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, I'm starting to get that feeling of sooner or later the bubble is going to pop. I'm just kind of waiting to see when it happens. Chris, great stuff today. Appreciate you taking time during the busy free agency cycle of the NFL year. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some hoops and some other stuff, and we'll catch up with you down the road. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me on again, Sammy. Always enjoyed it.
You bet it. There he goes. Chris Easterling, Akron Beacon Journal, checking in here on AM 1310 WDPN.